Alright, so I'm going to share this with you guys. If you don't know who Robert Cassar is, yes, he has the DR in front of his name, but this guy has a lot of superb knowledge and info about the human body. Do I agree with everything he says? No. Do I agree with everything anyone says? Uh, no. So I mean, take what you can from everything. But yeah, the lymph system is very important, as we will find out here. And I'm gonna play a good portion of this. Basically, I just want like the visuals and for him to explain it a little bit more, because first of all, like this guy has a lot done a lot more work than I have. This guy has a lot more cleaner body than I do. Uh, he's worked his lymph a lot more than I have. So I'm not going to repeat the things that he has said, or everything, because I have yet to do the deep cleaning that this guy's done. And so he's able to come from a place of, he's got in there into the dirty and did it, and helps people do it for themselves. Like, this is part of the thing that he does with his little retreats in Hawaii, which is basically like you go there and you fast on water, and then he re-educates you on how things really work in the body. Yeah, he does go a little crazy on a couple aspects, but I think it's good sometimes to over uh, over accentuate something for emphasis, for that effect, especially when someone's uh, very ignorant of it, or in denial of it, which a lot of this health stuff, we've been taught to believe a certain thing, so most of us are in denial of how shit really works, and this goes way deeper than just the body. It starts with the body, but it expands into the totality of the body, which is all materia, physical manifestation, and the interconnectedness, as within, so without. It's all interrelated and interconnected. So the more you discover and understand about the inner workings of yourself, uh, the more awareness and the more understanding, the more connections you will make with how things work on the so-called outside. Okay, so here we go.
But part one is actually to even understand the lymph system. Remember, most of the diseases that everybody gets, they're in the lymph system. So once you find out how the lymph system really works, then you find out that it's very important, especially because it's got 2 to 3 times the volume that your blood has. So, when I went to school, we didn't learn hardly anything on the lymph system at all. And of course, the teachers that were teaching the classes, just like in toxicology or anything, they were overweight. And they were actually the PhD that was teaching toxicology. So when you sort of find out that the lymph system and the whole body, once it gets plugged, then you start to get clogged. And so gaining body fat is actually sort of like maybe putting 50 coats of wax on your skin, plugging your pores, okay, and then your whole body not being able to let go of its lymph system. So this is super, super important to be able to not even learn, you got to practice it, because you can
Mm-hmm.
learn about the lymph system, but if you don't put the effort and the work in breaking it down and making it soft, making it supple, making it flow, then pretty much everything that you're doing is not going to be really effective at all. Now, remember, flow is everything. Flow.
Yes.
So a lot of women get hit harder than men when they are starting to work their lymph system. And one of the biggest reasons is because of the constriction of a lot of the clothes they're wearing, perfumes, hair dyes. Remember, toxicity goes into the skin. And if the lymph, as you'll see, is actually the blood cleaner, remember the spleen, the kidneys, the thymus, all these different organs, uh, the lymph system is everywhere. And once you find out about the lymph system, you're going to want to really clean it up, because if your lymph system's dirty, it can't clean your blood. And if your blood is dirty, then you've got a huge assault on the rest of your body that basically has to go to keep your blood at a perfect pH of 7.3 to 7.46. And if it falters in there, then you've got a problem. Okay, when your heart number goes down to about 7.0, you get a heart attack. Your body can't conduct the electricity that your heart throws out. Your heart throws out electricity. Okay, so when it does that, your body's conductivity sends it through the whole body, and that's what keeps you alive. So if the lymph system is plugged and it's got different types of toxicities, contaminants, or anything that's living in this conductive system, it slows down the conductivity. It slows down what we call the drain, because the lymphatic system is the largest, so you can call it drain in your body. Um, I'm just going to look at some of my absorbs the toxicity. It absorbs the toxicity in your gut, okay, not inside, but it goes through everything. It absorbs the toxicity around your throat, around your glands. So your glands have.
So yeah, I just want you guys to see these visuals because I mean, a lot of people, like vast majority of people, like just completely ignorant. Ignorant in the sense of they haven't been taught the correct things or been taught about the most important things, and this is a huge thing here, the lymph system. So I wanted to show you guys just how prolific this is and how it's all over your body, and just to get an idea of um, where there's the most pockets of the lymphatic system and the lymph nodes, like
Have all these
where those
different
are.
nodules. Remember, most of the diseases that we see that a lot of women get preyed on are these lymph diseases. Men get them too, but they get the upper outer quadrant, and we'll show you what it looks like here. The lymphatic system, the body's secondary circulating system, it functions, are closely linked to the functions of the body's primary circulatory system called the blood. Okay, but the lymph, if the lymph is dirty, then the blood can't, like I said, stay clean. So you can see that you can try to clean up your body with food. You can start to drink more liquids. You can do all these things, but in order to get the lymph system so it actually works again, there's a layer of protocols that I found out to be able to make it so. Remember, and these are.
Okay, and yeah, what he said there was accurate, but also you got to think about how the gunk is getting in there, and then also if you're just scrubbing like the surface of something that's dirty on the inside, you're just gonna have, what is the term, like a polished turd. So what this is here, whenever we're talking about gua sha or the skin cleaning and all the levels to that, working the skin, working the lymphatic system, softening up your tissue and the fascia, and getting in there and working in that. Um, I would say for like in today's day and age, like this is definitely a must. Like you got to do that just because of the type of material that's in there, and that it um, with most people, unless you're not living in like a city or in you're not around like the modern man's like persons, what they're subjected to within pollution of water, of air. So this stuff is basically gunked in there, and just doing, and I don't know if he'll get into this or if I'll find the part here where he talks about this, but essentially like these people, um, no, this is in a different video. Which, by the way, yeah, go check out. I think it's Earther Academy. Just a whole myriad of uh, health nuggets there, and I recommend looking for the ones where he's having discussions with people in the infrared sauna. Those are some awesome ones, and just hearing from the different kinds of people that go there, hearing their story, hearing the similarities between everyone and the problems, but then everyone has their own unique dis-eases as well. So it's just really cool to get a lot of different perspectives about all of this. But yeah, essentially, like the people there, they will be doing distilled water fast for. It's up to the person. Like sometimes people do it. I think one of them on here said like 4 days, and then I think the highest uh, that anyone's gone there is like around 30 days or something. And even after these people like are super clean from doing these fasts, they're still pulling massive amounts of gunk out of their lymph system once they go into the sauna and start doing the gua sha. Massive amounts. And I've experienced this for myself as well. It is quite alarming once you start to really pull out continuous gunk, and it just becomes pretty much undeniable like where this is coming from, that it's not just like exfoliating in surface. Yes, like you are, especially if you use a little bit sharper tools, you are getting some dead skin, and that is going to have a little bit of brown coloration like as that collects. But it gets to the point where it just becomes very obvious that you're pulling some gunk out, and then you have to ask the question like, how did that get there? uh, well, what exactly is it, and where's it coming from? So you do have to work this stuff to get it out, but after you do this, and you should continue to do this, it it is very important to continue the fasting, and at your own level, of course, and at your own pace, whatever you're ready for. um, I recommend pushing yourself, testing yourself. Be smart about it. Do your research, and whenever you feel ready and you feel like it's time to really get down and dirty and get in there, uh, do it and go for as long as you can. But the internal cleaning, this is going to be how you maintain the cleanliness after you've got this, you've worked this all this crud and gunk out that's stuck in there. And then also, I wanted to mention this at the beginning, but it slipped my mind. Uh, Go ahead and feel around your skin right now, um, like right around your belly button, that kind of like a little bit of fat right there. Uh, Go ahead and pinch it and kind of roll that and see like what you feel there. If you feel a whole bunch of little balls, and go ahead and feel around the rest of your body, around your chest, up around your chin and your jawline. Feel up around there, and what do you think that is exactly? Do you think that's normal? Do you think that's just a part of the fat, or do you think that possibly that could be lymph nodes that are clogged, that have excess gunk inside of them? Do you think that if you did certain protocols like what he suggests, Robert Cassar suggests, or just even sweating, starting to work out, starting to work all of your systems, starting to get all of the fluids going, and then taking it a step further and using gua sha tools or certain techniques to really get in there and work those things. Do you think those little bumps will become smaller or disappear? Well, you can find this out for yourself. Put it to the test. Many people have for themselves.
like coral reefs, okay? So when you're pushing on this is what you're feeling. And this is why you need to soften this stuff up. This is why you need to knead it and break it down. If not, this will be too sore for you to do and you won't do it just because it'll be too painful. You won't
Yep.
like it. So you need to know what you're up against, but you can see what this looks like. And this is very sharp.
Yeah, and it will, especially if you have yet to really dig down in there and start to work on it, and you have accumulation. Like, it's going to be very painful at first.
And this is like if you wanted to look at it maybe 1,000 times under a microscope, this is what it looks like sometimes inside people's arteries, sometimes in people's kidneys, kidney stones. These are oxalates. They go into your brain, okay? They go into your gallstones, okay? These are all, they go into your muscle. So these things can form anywhere. And this is usually because of bad diet, okay? Sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, acetic acid, these are all corrosive acids, coffee.
Exactly. So yes, diet or just being aware of what you're putting in your fucking body, and being aware, just realizing what absorption really is, how your skin is constantly absorbing your environment around you, like it or not. So be aware of the quality of the air around you. So yes, there are certain types of herbs and foods that we can use that will help clean the lymph and clean a lot of our organs that like our kidneys and our liver, that help purify the blood and help with eliminations. But I do not believe that solely using certain kinds of medicines or plants or herbs, that alone will get out the gunk, just because of the level of pollution that we have subjected that we have been subjected to, that we have become ignorant to. And this is why this working the lymph is so huge, and just allowing the flow to just be easier.
Different things that basically people put into their body, and you have to neutralize it. So you take calcium out of your body, and it gets neutralized in your body, and it gets usually not excreted. It gets stored where there's inflammation. Okay, so this calcium that builds up, if you've got inflammation in your system, okay, if you don't have inflammation, like I said, it goes pretty much through you. Okay, you just lose your calcium. But if you've got any inflammation, which everybody does, you either have inflammation in your gut, you have it in your brain because you think too much, cell phones up to your head, you have inflammation in your muscles because whatever the reason being, maybe you sit on a chair 9 hours a day. Okay, you have inflammation wherever it's at, it doesn't matter. You will get oxalates. Okay, so this is why a lot of people have kidney inflammation. What do you think you get? Kidney stones. Okay, so these are very important, simple concepts to understand. Organs and cells of the lymphatic system play an integral part and role in supporting the immune system. This is very important to learn too. You've got a sick immune system, you're never going to get it better unless you. And this is what grows some weird parasites inside there. Okay, now if something needs to, there's another one in here. They drain. Okay, the neck.
So yeah, that's a good image there. If you guys can look at all that, you can feel around like your jawline there, like all those little ripples around, and especially around the vagus nerve, and then especially around the armpits and interior shoulder. And this is mainly whenever I do gua sha, which I do it in the shower. Mainly I pull the most from my neck, back behind, and my shoulders, my shoulder blades, uh, in between my shoulder blades, my shoulders, uh, and then my chest. I get a lot from that, and then, yeah, and then my arms. I have yet to really super work my legs or anywhere down here yet. But I mean, it's all really important. Just work as much as you can. And at first, it's going to be hard to really get in there and work. So you have to soften your skin up somehow, either by going into a sauna or after a workout or being in a hot shower for a while. You have to get the sweat going and the skin softened in order to really start to get in there. Otherwise, you're not going to get much out of it.
Drains everything, the lymph drains everything to my thorax because this is where it gets out. So if you don't sweat into the sweat box, how do you think anything's getting out of your body? Think, especially if you eat 3 times a day, especially if you're not exercising, especially
Yep.
if you're sitting down all day, as
Yep.
most people do.
Yep.
Okay, you can see how, and not only that, let's say you're a woman, you got a bra, things tight, metal stays right here. Now, when I worked on Travis the other day, he's pretty lean. His right side of his breast had no balls on it at all under here. His left side had a big colony of all these little tiny little
Yeah,
balls.
and it'll be different all over your body.
Okay, so when you get down to losing more body fat, remember is a creature that lives in your body, and you have to soften it up to break it up. So all of this whole area right here is full of lymph nodes. And this is what it looks like right here. This is like this big mountain right here is like one little tiny villi in the intestine tract. You have millions of them.
Yeah.
Okay? And these little tiny little cells.
So yeah, like we talk about gut health and like the gut being like, the second or even first brain, like full of lymph nodes.
Right here called enterocytes on the side, and they let minerals into your body, they let fluids into your body, and unless these are healthy, these little enterocytes on the intestinal tract, you're not getting anything in your body. Okay? And if these are unhealthy and they have a hole, then all of a sudden it leaks into this spot, and this is where, look, this is the lymph where it lives. It's in here to be able to clean up the mess in case there's a rupture in the intestinal tract. And if you're eating pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, GMOs, swallowing mercury vapor, you betcha you got those assaults. Out again, and it's got this circle, and it has to go through your hands and your feet. So this is just secondarily important. And then the lymph lives underneath the bottom in all these different areas. Filters the blood. I'm just going to go through these quick. Filters. Okay, the lymph filters itself. If it can't flow, it can't filter. It's stuck. Bra, it's stuck. What happens if you get a stuck lake? You get stagnancy. You get a bunch of critters that grow in that lake. Okay, so you can see these are things that everybody's got to smarten up. Guys wear too tight of socks. They take them off, and they got marks on their legs.
Yep.
You've squeezed all your tissues. Okay, so and removes impurities from the body, and then it also fights infection. So let's say you have an infection that goes in your system, and you've got this, simple little infection, whatever it is. It's a parasite trying to get inside you.
Yeah, so this guy's all about the parasites, which, for the shock value, I think it's very important to listen to what he has to say. Don't ever just take anyone's word for anything or just believe it. But I would agree with a lot of the stuff that he says with parasites if you consume a lot of meat, and if you consume a lot of meat that you don't know, like, the purity of it or the source, then yeah, you probably are opening yourself up to a whole host of different kind of little critters. So yeah, working the lymph. I might show another video of his where he has someone in the sauna, and they just show like some introductory level stuff. But you can use your fingers and just really get in there, and that's good to get a little bit deeper. But then if you want to really pull stuff out, you need something with a little bit of a sharper of an edge, but not like, obviously you don't want it to be too sharp. What I use for that is a piece of a seashell. Like, seashells seem to work very well for this, actually. And then also I've used just anything and everything that I could find. I've used all kinds of different random things, like just different kind of rocks or stones, or you can buy little washer tools, and sometimes they come in like jade. So those are kind of cool to use, the jade. Except if you drop them in the shower, and then that's kind of it for the tool. And then also, I think in one of my first videos, I kind of talked about this. If you don't have super sharp fingernails, if they're kind of smooth, you can. I even use my fingernails and get in there. And obviously, you want to be careful that you're not, cutting into your skin with your fingernails. But if you have a little bit of a smooth fingernails, like you haven't been biting them, or you didn't just cut them, then you can actually use your fingernails and get quite a bit of the gunk out doing it that way. Let's see what else. Yeah, basically, just dive in, educate yourself about the lymphatic system. first and foremost, like, you have to get your body to start sweating somehow. Uh, Try to find a some kind of a sauna. Like, they have infrared saunas that are popping up more and more frequently. Um, I've done those. I will say that, especially if you're not used to sweating, uh, really go light at first. And then also because you're usually enclosed, like you'll start to lose oxygen. So like it is wise to keep cracking the door open from time to time just to get some fresh air coming in, because you will find, and just after a sauna in general, that you'll get lightheaded and dizzy very easily. But yeah, just to start out, uh, find some kind of way to start getting your fluids moving, start excreting through your skin, start sweating. Sweating is so important. Like, oftentimes whenever someone feels a cold coming on, or they feel like flu-like symptoms, and they jump in the sauna immediately, that'll get rid of it immediately. Or how many times have you heard a story of someone being sick and just covering themselves up with a whole bunch of blankets, and then like either before they go to bed or just in general, and then anytime, and then sweating the sickness out of them. This shit works, and this this is a huge part of having a healthy body, of re-educating yourself about the systems that you may not have learned about, or it was just kind of glossed over whenever you did learn about them. So yeah, that's it for now. Uh, Earther Academy is that channel. Check it out. It's got a lot of good info, and not just info. Like, this guy walks the walk. So yeah, hopefully y'all got something from that. Peace.